Welcome to RTV Global Network. Today is August 25, 2026. Your presenters today are Alex and Jordan. And today, we are looking at a world of extreme contradictions, like a world where a local supermarket gets slapped with a fine for selling a faulty expansion cord, right?
Right.
But at the same time, a $1 billion phantom import scheme somehow just completely vanishes into thin air.
Yeah, it is the absolute definition of systemic dissonance. Our modern oversight mechanisms are, well, they're incredibly sharp when it comes to the micro-level infractions, the everyday life stuff.
Yeah.
But today's sources paint this picture of a world with these glaring, almost deliberate blind spots at the macro level.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to sort through just a massive stack of today's breaking news. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We are looking for the hidden threads that connect extreme climate shifts, high-stakes economics, and this massive wave of legal and political accountability.
Right.
We have global sources, we have local reports, and we're going to see how they all kind of just collide today.
And I'd say the most immediate collision is happening right in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
The environment is essentially testing our foundational infrastructure to its absolute breaking point. In Sri Lanka, the Department of Meteorology has officially placed the heat index into the caution category.
Wow.
And this isn't just a standard dry spell. We are looking at a rapidly strengthening El Niño phenomenon in the Pacific, and it's threatening to break a 43-year temperature record in the country.
Wait, 43 years?
Yeah, 43 years.
I mean, think about what a 43-year record actually means in practical terms. It means our entire physical infrastructure, like the asphalt on the roads, the power grids, the water pipes, it was all built for a climate baseline that essentially no longer exists.
Exactly.
And we're seeing the extreme end of this play out globally, too.
Yeah.
One of our sources highlighted this really devastating story out of California today. A French tourist actually died in Death Valley after their car got stuck in the mud.
Gosh.
And the temperature there was 46.6 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
That is 116 degrees Fahrenheit.
It just illustrates the brutal new physics of our environment, At those temperatures, your margin for error drops to zero.
Yeah, literally zero.
Mud turns to concrete in minutes, and the human body simply cannot cool itself down. Survival and infrastructure become deeply intertwined in these moments, and you see that infrastructure stress playing out right now, today, in Sri Lanka's water supply.
Right, because we saw the water supply temporarily suspended across the Colombo and Gampaha areas today.
Right.
The authorities cited a water quality issue at the Amatal and Kalani South treatment plants. Now, I know the supply is returning, but if you live in areas like Bateramula or Kote or Nugagoda, you are still facing delays right now.
Which is a direct mechanical consequence of this heat. When water levels drop drastically due to evaporation, the concentration of all the sediments, the minerals, the algal blooms in that remaining water just spikes.
Oh, so this just gets too thick for the system.
Exactly. Treatment plants have to halt intake because their filtration systems just aren't designed to process that density of particulates.
Why?
Extreme weather disrupts the very mechanisms of daily life.
But wait, if the plants are shutting down because the water is too dense with sediment, aren't we just treating the symptom here? Which I guess brings me to the regulatory response we're seeing.
Right.
The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, the PUCSL, is making this sudden pivot. They are setting higher feed-in tariffs, so essentially offering better payments for renewable energy projects that specifically include battery storage. The goal, according to the reports, is to add at least 450 megawatts of solar PV and battery capacity by March 2027.
It is a desperate race to build resilience. I mean, they have to cut reliance on thermal power to stabilize electricity tariffs.
Right, because of the fuel costs.
Exactly. Thermal power requires imported fuels. Those are incredibly volatile in price, and they just drain foreign reserves. Solar is free, but without batteries, a solar grid basically collapses the moment a cloud rolls over or, the sun sets.
Yeah.
So they are incentivizing the storage because that is what actually stabilizes the grid.
But aren't we I feel like you're just slapping a Band-Aid on a broken pipe here. Are we trying to build the roof while the foundation is flooding? We're pushing for solar panels, but our water pipelines and even global shipping lines are currently choking.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like the Panama Canal. It's one of the most vital arteries for global trade, and it's currently limiting traffic ahead of this extreme El Niño weather. Why? Because the freshwater lakes that feed the canal locks are literally drying up.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, when physical trade routes like the Panama Canal dry up, the ripple effects hit the global economy instantly.
Yeah.
Companies realize their physical logistics are vulnerable, so they start panic buying digital and consulting assets to optimize what little supply chain they have left.
Oh, interesting.
Which might actually explain why India's Tata Consultancy Services TCS just dropped $1.46 billion to buy Porsche's IT and consulting unit.
Wait, 1.46 billion. That is a staggering consolidation of tech and automotive power.
It really is. But while capital and these big corporate acquisitions are flowing freely across borders, the flow of human talent is being aggressively choked.
Yeah.
The Trump administration is currently proposing an unprecedented fee for H-1B worker visas. We are talking about a $100,000 fee per visa.
$100,000.
Per visa.
That completely changes the calculus for any company wanting to bring international tech talent into the U.S. You are effectively placing a luxury tax on human capital.
Exactly.
It shuts out startups, mid-sized tech firms. They're entirely walled off.
Yeah.
So only the most heavily capitalized corporate monopolies can afford to hire globally.
It's economic protectionism on a deeply structural level. But, history shows us that when you build regulatory walls that high, people don't just stop crossing.
Right, they find another way.
They go underground.
Right.
Look at the indictment out of Taiwan today. An NVIDIA manager is among 9 individuals charged in an AI chip smuggling operation to China.
How do you even smuggle something as highly monitored as an NVIDIA AI chip? It's not like you just, put it in your pocket.
Right, you don't put it in a suitcase. These operators allegedly set up a highly sophisticated network of shell companies.
Okay.
They bypass the strict U.S. export end-user agreements by purchasing the chips legally in Taiwan through front businesses, and then silently reroute the physical logistics to feed China's restricted AI data centers.
Wow.
The technology is so valuable that high-level corporate managers are essentially acting as cartel smugglers for silicon.
It is a perfect example of high-level systems being manipulated by insiders. And you actually see a different flavor of that systemic disconnect when we look at the Sri Lankan economy right now. We are looking at this wild split-screen reality.
The divergence between the macro indicators and the micro reality is profound. It's really stark.
Right, so let's break down the macro screen first. The Colombo Stock Exchange just saw a massive turnover of 16.85 billion rupees. Now, the overall market index, the ASPI, actually fell below 21,350. But that huge turnover was largely driven by heavy crossings, so those large prearranged block trades between big institutional investors.
Right.
At the same time, People's Bank announced a record pre-tax profit of 32.6 billion rupees for the first half of 2026. Plus, the prime lending rate has eased down to 10.86%.
So if you're an economist, right, and you're looking only at a spreadsheet, those are textbook indicators of stabilization. Corporate banking profits are soaring, lending rates are easing to encourage business investment, and institutional investors are moving massive volumes of capital through those block trades.
And this is the crazy part, step off the trading floor and walk into a local supermarket and you enter a totally different universe. When you see the prime lending rate ease down, you might think the average person's financial stress is dropping. But down on the street, inflation is biting so hard that shoppers are completely ditching brand names just to find generic bargains. Supermarkets are even introducing these cash back at the till systems.
Which is a clear indicator of a localized liquidity crisis. People are struggling to access physical cash or even manage their daily digital balances, so the supermarket is having to act as a micro ATM just to keep retail moving.
And the economic pinch is hitting the broader sectors too. Our sources show tourist arrivals dropped 7% in mid-August, right ahead of the Yasala Perahera.
Right.
Now, we've welcomed 1.3 million visitors so far in 2026, which sounds great on paper, but that sudden 7% drop shows that global travelers are also feeling the economic squeeze and canceling their late summer trips.
And that tension between the thriving macroeconomy and the struggling microeconomy, it just destroys public trust. And that trust is being further shattered by this massive phantom imports scandal that's currently dominating the financial news. We are talking about an alleged $1 billion money laundering scheme.
Okay, I need to understand the mechanics of this.
Yeah.
How does $1 billion just vanish through official channels?
Well, it's a classic form of trade-based money laundering. Bad actors fabricate shipping invoices for highly expensive goods, let's say specialized industrial machinery.
Okay.
They present these fake invoices to the bank. The bank, seeing official-looking paperwork, wires the money out of the country to pay the foreign supplier,
Right.
but the shipping containers are empty or the supplier is just a shell company and the goods never even existed.
Wow.
The cash is successfully washed clean and moved offshore under the guise of legitimate international trade.
But how are regular citizens supposed to process this? If a local supermarket in Anuradhapura gets slapped with a 200,000 rupee fine by regulators for selling uncertified electrical cords, which just happened today. By the way, how does $1 billion get wired out of the country for invisible cargo?
It's staggering.
We have regulators checking the certification stickers on extension cords, but banking systems are missing $1 billion hole in the shipping manifests.
It perfectly captures the paradox of modern governance, doesn't it? Our systems possess incredible lateral integration to catch micro-infractions, but when fraud scales up to the macro level, it often hides behind the complexity of the system itself.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the broader theme of accountability and how the justice system is currently operating on absolute overdrive.
Right, because in terms of law enforcement, there was a major international extraction today. The underworld figure known as Lalith Kanangara has been successfully deported from Dubai and brought back to Sri Lanka.
To execute a deportation of that profile requires months of intricate diplomatic negotiation, Interpol coordination, and intelligence sharing between states. It's a huge lift.
And yet, local enforcement is operating with terrifying efficiency. One of our reports detailed how a pickpocket at the PETA bus stand was caught within minutes.
Wow, minutes.
Minutes. The police use high-definition CCTV to track his movements through the crowd instantly. So it's like we have a high-definition magnifying glass on the street-level pickpockets, but a foggy window when it comes to massive political funds.
The contrast is totally jarring. But we also have to acknowledge the sheer logistical weight the judiciary is currently carrying right now. We have a major update on the Easter Sunday terror attacks trial.
Right.
The defense case has officially concluded.
And the numbers attached to that trial are just difficult to even comprehend. There are 23,270 charges filed against 24 accused.
Yeah.
And the verdict is set for September 22nd. Processing 23,000 distinct legal charges requires an administrative and judicial effort that most systems just aren't designed to handle.
It is a monumental task of forensic accounting and legal processing. But,
Yeah.
while the courts are dealing with the tragedies of the past, the political sphere is clashing over the Constitution of the future. The 22nd Amendment is currently the center of a severe political storm.
Right. Now, according to the reports, and we are just relaying what the sources state here, the President and Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, the BASL, have filed a petition against the 22nd Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And in immediate response to that, the joint opposition staged a protest right outside the BASL headquarters, demanding the BASL president's resignation.
The friction here just highlights how deeply polarized the legal and political interpretations of this amendment have become. Both sides are firmly entrenched, and this demand for institutional accountability, it isn't stopping at the Constitution, it is bleeding into historical financial audits as well.
Yeah, we are seeing a new complaint lodged with the Bribery Commission, CIA Ball, regarding the Samurti Department. Again, just reporting the claims here. The complaint alleges that 100 million rupees went unaccounted for during former Minister Daya Gameja's tenure.
Right.
It also claims that 974 million rupees in state loans were given to companies linked to Gemej.
It shows the public tolerance for financial opacity is zero right now. People are demanding forensic audits of state funds across the board. You even see this push for a systemic correction hitting the penal system.
Oh, right.
A parliamentary committee is currently consulting the police on emergency measures to reduce severe prison overcrowding. They're realizing the physical infrastructure of justice is just failing.
And the physical infrastructure of the coastlines is being aggressively policed, too. Authorities just moved in and demolished 22 illegal structures along the Ahangama beach strip today.
Wow.
So if you build an illegal shack on the beach, the bulldozers arrive. If you steal a bag at the bus stand, the CCTV catches you. But those macro-level funds still seem to operate by an entirely different set of physical laws.
It is a fascinating internal recalibration to watch, but we really have to widen the lens here because all of this domestic friction is happening on an incredibly tense geopolitical chessboard.
Yeah, the global stage is wild right now.
Sri Lanka's strategic maritime position remains absolutely vital. The new United States ambassador, Eric Meyer, has just arrived in Colombo to officially take up his post.
And India is moving their diplomatic pieces right alongside the U.S. and Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is scheduled for a critical visit on September 9th and 10th. He'll be meeting with President Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
When Washington and New Delhi are deploying their top diplomatic and defense personnel back-to-back like that, it underscores the intense battle for influence in the Indian Ocean.
Definitely.
This is particularly crucial today as Sri Lanka officially launches a new offshore oil and gas licensing round.
Energy sovereignty, right. If you control your own energy, you are way less vulnerable to the global supply chain shocks we talked about earlier.
Exactly, and those global shocks are imminent. The international stage is basically a powder keg today. Iran has formally vowed to retaliate against expanded U.S. economic sanctions. And simultaneously, the USS Washington aircraft carrier has just entered the Arabian Sea amid significant international outcry. Deploying a carrier strike group into the Arabian Sea is a massive projection of military force right in the center of the world's most vulnerable energy transit routes.
Right. But amidst all of this global maneuvering, domestic survival has to continue. The government is intervening in the agricultural sector locally, releasing interest-free loans to rice millers for the Yalla season paddy purchase.
And for those unfamiliar, the Yalla season is the minor agricultural season, heavily dependent on southwest monsoon rains.
Right.
By giving millers interest-free loans, the government is ensuring the millers have the liquidity to actually buy the harvested paddy from the farmers. It keeps the food supply chain moving despite the broader economic crunch.
That makes sense. And on the education and health front, Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya is actively pushing for a revamped, healthier school nutrition program.
Which is so needed.
Yeah. And for families trying to map out their futures, the 2027 dates for the AL, AOL, and scholarship exams have officially been announced.
So the civic calendars are locked in, and the political machinery is spinning up as well. SLPP national organizer Namal Rajapaksa announced a newly strengthened grassroots campaign today ahead of the upcoming elections.
We also really need to relay a critical public health warning from our sources today. The dengue outbreak in Sri Lanka is continuing to surge. Health officials are desperately urging citizens to understand the difference between dengue symptoms and a standard flu.
Yes.
Because early detection changes the entire medical outcome.
Absolutely. But on a more positive health note, the organization HelpAge is conducting free cataract surgeries for communities in Hambantota and Samantharai, which is restoring sight to individuals who otherwise just couldn't afford the procedure.
That's incredible. Let's bring this deep dive home with a quick look at the sports world, which has been highly active today.
Oh, yeah.
In cricket, India has taken a 1-0 lead in their test series, just defeating Sri Lanka by 165 runs. We saw Padikkal score a century, and Pasindhu stepped in to replace the injured Chandimal.
Meanwhile, the Australians are playing with absolute dominance. They just thrash Bangladesh, with fast bowler Mitchell Starc taking a devastating 10 wickets.
Wow, 10 wickets. Moving off the cricket pitch, though, we have a major Olympic ambition brewing. World #1 athlete Ramesh has publicly set his sights on bringing Sri Lanka its first ever Olympic gold.
That would be amazing.
Right. And in a really unique crossover of sports and diplomacy, Sri Lankan cricket legend Arjuna Ranatunga has joined a group of international captains in appealing for former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan to receive urgent medical treatment.
It is a strong reminder that the fraternities forged in international sports often transcend the bitter boundaries of regional politics.
So what does this all mean? We have sifted through everything from melting grid infrastructure and billions in phantom imports to high-definition CCTV arrests and global aircraft carrier deployments.
Today's deep dive reveals systems that are being tested to their absolute limits. We are looking at an electrical grid literally baking under El Nino. We're seeing global financial regulations being totally bypassed by AI, chip smugglers in Taiwan, and phantom importers in Colombo.
Yeah.
And we have a justice system carrying the sheer logistical weight of a 23,000 charge trial.
It just feels like the architecture of the modern world is groaning under the pressure.
It really is. But I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, because I think it's the paradox that defines our era.
Okay.
We live in a world where a CCTV camera can identify, track, and coordinate the arrest of a bag thief at the Petibus stand in a matter of minutes.
Right.
Yet a $1 billion phantom import laundering scheme can somehow vanish into the ether, and highly restricted AI chips can be smuggled across heavily monitored international borders. So, as our surveillance technology becomes utterly flawless at the micro level, why are our macro systems still so easily blinded? Is our technology actually making society more secure, Or is it merely changing who gets to break the rules?
That is the defining question, isn't it? The gap between enforcing the rules on an extension cord and enforcing the rules on $1 billion. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you, and we will catch you on the next one.